CyberCook is an iPad application designed to facilitate remote setting and monitoring of the CyberQ Wi-Fi and CyberQ Cloud PIC control systems. CyberCook can also be used to remotely access your CyberQ through the internet when away from home. CyberCook is currently only available for iOS devices and is available on the Apple App Store. This video provides a guide to setting up and connecting CyberCook to a CyberQ from a local Wi-Fi network. Go to iportablesolutions.com for additional information, including the CyberCook user guide. Email requests for app support, bug reports, and app enhancements to support@iportablesolutions.com. CyberCook can connect to a CyberQ device in ad hoc, hotspot, or infrastructure network modes. Hotspot and ad hoc modes allow the CyberQ to create its own network and does not require the use of an external router. Early model CyberQ devices used ad hoc mode. Later model CyberQ devices, including the CyberQ Cloud, use hotspot mode instead of ad hoc mode. Ad hoc mode will only allow one wireless device, in this case your iPad, to connect to the CyberQ device at a time. Hotspot mode allows multiple devices to connect directly to the CyberQ device and also supports network encryption. Infrastructure mode requires an external router similar to the one you may have at home. In infrastructure mode, the external router serves as an intermediary between the CyberQ device and your iPad. In infrastructure mode, multiple wireless devices can connect to a CyberQ device through the external router. In infrastructure mode, a CyberQ connects wirelessly to the router, while CyberCook connects wirelessly to the CyberQ through the router. An IP address and HTTP port tell CyberCook where to find the CyberQ on the Wi-Fi network. When the CyberQ is connected to a Wi-Fi network, think of the router as an apartment building. The router has an IP address which is analogous to the address of the apartment building. In addition, the CyberQ has a port which it is listening on. Think of the port as the apartment number in the building. Setting the IP address and port on the CyberCook connection settings menu tells CyberCook where to send all requests to, just like when you address a letter to an apartment within a building. In ad hoc or hotspot mode, the IP address and port function in the same way, except that the CyberQ assigns itself an IP address instead of one being assigned by the router. CyberCook cannot connect to the CyberQ if VPN is enabled on the iPad settings app. Ensure the VPN switch is turned off prior to attempting a connection. Some users have reported connection issues when email alerting has been enabled on the CyberQ. This appears to be an issue when certain symbols are used in the SMTP authentication. If you are unable to connect and you have email alerts enabled on the CyberQ, try turning off email alerts or changing the SMTP authentication so it doesn't use symbols. Now, let's look at the steps required to connect CyberCook to the CyberQ. The first step is to determine the IP address and port of the CyberQ. There are two ways to determine the CyberQ IP address. When the CyberQ is first powered on, the IP address is displayed briefly after it connects to the network. If you need to determine the IP address after the connection has been established, you can do that from the CyberQ Wi-Fi settings menu. To access the CyberQ Wi-Fi settings menu, simultaneously press the up and down arrow buttons until system setup is displayed. This takes several seconds. Press the right arrow button to display the Wi-Fi setup screen. Press the down arrow button until the current device IP address is displayed on the Wi-Fi setup screen. The CyberQ port is also available on the CyberQ Wi-Fi settings menu. Press the down arrow button until the port is displayed. The default port is 80. It is highly recommended to change the port to something other than 80 to prevent potential conflicts with other devices and applications. Any port above 1000 should work, but I have found great success using a port in the 18,000 range. To change the port, select HTTP port on the menu, tap the center button, then change the port with the arrow keys. Tap the center button again to save the new port. Anytime you change a setting on the CyberQ, you have to repower the device for the new settings to take effect. To repower it, simply remove the power cord for a few seconds, then plug it back in. Your iPad must be connected to the same network that the CyberQ is connected to. If your iPad is already connected to the correct network, you can skip this step. If you are connecting in ad hoc or hotspot mode, you must connect your iPad to the network created by the CyberQ. If you are connecting in infrastructure mode, you must connect your iPad to the Wi-Fi network the CyberQ is connected to, most likely your home Wi-Fi network. Open the iPad Settings app and tap Wi-Fi. Under Choose a Network, tap the network the CyberQ is connected to. Enter the network passcode if prompted, and tap the Join button. Now we are ready to set up CyberCook to make the connection to the CyberQ. Exit the Settings app and launch CyberCook. Tap the Settings button on the control panel. Tap Connection Settings to display the Connection Settings menu. At the bottom of the menu, tap your CyberQ model on the CyberQ model selector. CyberCook cannot connect unless the correct model is selected. Tap Work Offline if prompted to prevent the power fail alert from activating. Now let's enter the IP address. Enter the CyberQ IP address in the 4 IP address fields. Each address segment must be a number between 0 and 255. When you are finished, tap the keyboard dismiss key on the lower right corner of the keyboard to dismiss the keyboard. Now tap the HTTP port field and enter the CyberQ port. The port must be a number between 0 and 65535. Tap the keyboard dismiss key to dismiss the keyboard when finished. Now tap the Update Wi-Fi Settings button to save the settings. The Update Wi-Fi Settings button is not enabled unless a valid IP address and a valid port have been entered. If you have set up a username and password on the CyberQ, you must enter these on the CyberCook Connection Settings menu. Tap the Username field and enter the username you set up on the CyberQ. Do the same for the password. Tap the keyboard dismiss key to dismiss the keyboard when finished. Tap the Update Credentials button to save the settings. After setting the CyberQ device model, IP address, port, and authentication credentials, tap anywhere on the control panel to dismiss the Connection Settings menu. CyberCook should connect to the device within a few seconds. If CyberCook doesn't connect to the CyberQ within 30 seconds, repower the CyberQ and verify that all connection settings have been properly entered on the CyberCook Connection Settings menu. Now that CyberCook is connected to the CyberQ, let's talk about how CyberCook alerts you when it loses connection to the CyberQ. CyberCook provides 2 alarms to alert you that it has lost connection to the CyberQ. These are the lost connection alarm and the power failure alarm. CyberCook provides a lost connection alarm if the app loses connection to the device. The alarm consists of a single aural alarm, an alert dialog, and a flashing yellow lost indication on the connection status annunciator. CyberCook will continue to attempt connection to the CyberQ as long as the app is active.
Connection lost with CyberQ.
The alert dialog gives you the option to go directly to the connection settings or to work offline. Tapping work offline inhibits the power failure alarm. The connection status annunciator is automatically reset when connection to the CyberQ is regained. Tapping connection settings takes you straight to the connection settings menu. A power failure alarm is triggered 3 minutes after the lost connection alarm. This alarm does not necessarily mean that the CyberQ has lost power, but because a power failure is the most common reason for a long loss of connection, the alarm provides you the opportunity to check the device to ensure proper operation. The alarm consists of a continuous aural alarm, an alert dialog, and a flashing red power fail annunciation on the connection status annunciator. The aural alarm is canceled by tapping the OK button on the power failure alert. The power fail warning on the connection status annunciator is automatically reset when connection to the device is regained. This concludes the introduction to CyberCook setup and connection. Please send any questions or comments to support@iportablesolutions.com, and happy smoking.